You look so cute.
Mimi, you always look incredible. You win for best looks in the DR by far, but also you are one of my favorite players, so I'm really excited to talk to you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm so
Oh
excited.
my gosh, me too. Let's dive right in. What is your most proud accomplishment from the experience?
I think my greatest accomplishment from the experience is really just keeping my dignity in the house, not going too crazy. There were so many times, obviously, you guys saw during my storage room rants, there were so many times where I just really felt like blowing up and exploding. And I think had I done that, it would have placed a target on my back very early in the game. I learned from what had happened with Kirsten and Riley and Heisem that being too chaotic probably wouldn't fare too well in season 25. So I tried to simmer that down as much as possible. So biggest accomplishment by far is keeping my cool.
I love that. You had great reads on the house, and I also think had you exposed that, the house would have seen how good of a player you really were. And
Yeah,
that would
I
have made you
agree.
more of a threat.
I
So,
agree.
speaking of great reads, we saw you in other interviews talk about how you think Matt's playing the best game, and had you come into power, you would have targeted Matt and Jag. But yet, on the way out, you chose to call out Corey, America, and Bowie Jane. Can you talk to us about your thought process with that?
Yeah. So, going out of the house, of course, I just wanted to throw a little shade. I wanted to throw a little bone to Mama Fee. And I think those, 24 or 48 hours before the vote, I didn't really have time to sit down and talk to her and download her on everything that I'd been hearing. There were just so many things happening. So I was like, listen, Mama Fee, these three are trying to, Bowie, Corey, and America are going to try to make it seem like they're here for you. They're working for you. And I know that Corey had told her, like, oh, Blue is advocating to get you out. She was really against you staying in the house. Like, no, Corey, you're trying to pull more people into your shenanigans and to do your bidding. Let's not do that. Obviously, Jag and Matt feel some level of comfort with Corey in America. And I just wanted to break that up a little bit. And, I may have told a little white lie, maybe.
All right, cool. I love it. Chaos on the way out. You were holding back the whole game, so you were like, I'm letting it loose on the way out. That's great.
Yeah, what do I have to lose?
Yeah. All right. So after having a few days on the outside, have your feelings towards any of the other house guests changed?
Not in a negative way. What I will say is that the biggest shocker for me this season is the Sari and Jared mama son duo. So many things just make sense to me now. I just think back to week 3 when Heisem was evicted. I can't help but think that the conversation around getting him out when he was the strongest person in our alliance stemmed from the conversation that he had with Sari saying that Jared should be someone that our group should consider targeting. And I'm sure that raised a bit of a red flag for her. So there are just so many things that make sense. And Izzy knowing about this the whole time,
Mm-hmm.
of course they wanted
Yeah.
to keep her over Mama Fee. How loyal was she for not spilling that tea?
Right.
Like so many things make sense.
Yeah. Do you think it was an advantage or a disadvantage that they had each other in the game, this secret relationship?
May have been a bit of an advantage because Sari had been playing one side of the house. She kind of been lumped into the me, Felicia, Heisem, Red, Bowie, Jane group that weren't considered, I guess, the cool kids of the Riley, Mad, and Blue and Jag and whomever else, which is the group that Jared had been pulled into. So essentially, they were working opposite sides of the house and sharing information and comparing notes and figuring out a way to use that best to their advantage. So yeah, I think so.
They played it well. What do you
Yeah.
think your best game move was?
I think my best game move was the week that I'd work with Corey, America, Matt, Jag, Blue, and Bowie Jane or Bowie Jane, not Blue, sorry, to flip the vote from Felicia to Izzy. I think that was the best game move by far for me. There were so many other moves that I wanted to make that I didn't execute. I obviously wanted to keep Heisem. That's something that I said in one of my storage room rants the morning of the Red and Jag vote. And even that night, I was trying to get the votes to flip because I just knew that Jag was going to be a force to be reckoned with and that
Yeah.
he and Matt were a duo. So,
Yeah.
if I had to point out 2 others, I didn't execute them quite well, but definitely
No,
high above.
well, listen, it's all about coming into power. You just didn't get that opportunity. But that's okay. I agree with you. I think that evicting Izzy was a great move, especially in hindsight, knowing what was really going on with the relationships.
Absolutely.
Do you think that having a career in politics made you hold back in the game at all? Because we saw you hold your cards close to your chest, and I'm wondering if that's because of your background in politics.
Yeah, obviously going into the house, I was like, oh, my background, my career, my experience in politics is definitely going to help me navigate this game. And I think once I gotten there, obviously, playing a low key game was part of my strategy. But there were so many moments, like we just talked about, all of the things that I've been saying in the storage room, which I would bring up to my alliance members, but not be so pushy on. Again, I saw what was happening to Heisem. I saw what was happening to Riley. I saw what was happening to Kirsten. And I didn't want to be cursed with that same target on your back for saying things to people in a way that they could be, I don't want to say offended by, but in a way that
Yeah,
could kind
that
of
makes sense.
alarm them.
Yeah,
So one of my biggest regrets in the game is obviously not being as assertive as I typically would be in my day-to-day work.
I hear you. I do. Last quick question. Have you spoken to any of the other evicted house guests since you've been out, and how did those conversations go?
Yeah, so I have spoken to Kirsten, Riley, Heisem, and Izzy. We are still pending phone calls, so we haven't really got an opportunity to get into the details, but we have chatted briefly. So I'm excited to speak to them more in the next coming days.
Oh, good. Listen, we love you so much. If you need anything at all, please reach out. And I hope that you're just so happy that you're reunited with your husband, and I hope you get to enjoy watching the rest of the season. You played great, and we all love you a lot. And I hope we get to see you on our TV screens again.